We have been talking recently about many subjects of all kinds, not simply in my tradition as a Christian, but other traditions as well, as you can tell. So today we're going to go even a little further out, I think, in some of your opinions. And we are going to talk about one of the items in what's called People of the Book. People of the Book means those people who use a book as their source to receive and to do and to live. So there are three people of the book. First of all, they are the Jewish people who have the what we call Old Testament as people of the book. That's all that's in their books, not only the Torah, but all of the rest. And then what we call Christians who use what's called the New Testament, which not only has the Gospels in it, but other books as well, as people of the book. And then you have those who are Muslims, who are also people of the book because their book is called the Quran, Quran or Qur apostrophe an, or Kuran. It depends on how you spell it. I tend to use Q. Now, are there any similarities between these three books? Is our first question to discuss such a thing. Well, of course there are, because you will notice if you study the people of the book Old Testament and people of the book New Testament, you will find many similarities between the two. In fact, it's hardly impossible to do one without the other, as we've said before, and you will find many of the Old Testament passages quoted specifically in the New Testament for particular reasons, especially in the Gospel of Matthew, for example. And what you will also find rather interesting is that in the Quran, it is not completely unrelated to both the Old and the New Testament that the Jews and Christians use. In fact, both are quoted quite often in the Quran. And many of the people themselves who are characters who have something important to do in the Old and New Testament are also mentioned and discussed in the Quran. So that is one thing about it that you will find quite interesting. And the idea that this is a completely separate book from the tradition of the Jews or the tradition of the Christians is not so, although you may hear that said. The other interesting thing about the Quran itself is they call it, or it calls itself, the final revelation. Now, that's another subject that we will have to deal with, but we will come back to this shortly.